Sanda baba baba oh brolo kuzenda yaki ando kromane yaki asosoba omba da kromane yaki asosoba la krobala asoto baba 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 mato shida bengri aneki azoso da bala krobana akatushon da bala krobala apatushote beki asoto ba da probala akatushu de bekria la kosa da baba 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 ongromana yaki asoto ba la krumana ya Ombro lokuzanda yaki asodaba. Lord, we praise you. Lord, we honor you. For in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. It's gonna be a blast. Glory be to God. Help this week. You are gonna be helped in this week. You're gonna receive everything you need to be all you are called to be. I declare you will not be deprived, you will not be denied, but you will go at full speed that heaven desires for you. You'll be all that God has called you to be in the name of Jesus. This is our third season of the art of disciple making, and we're gonna have a wonderful time. But before we get into that segment, I want us to look at God's word, Romans chapter 8 and verse 31 to be precise. Romans chapter 8 and the 31st verse. It says, "What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, if God is for us, who can be against us?" Paul was making a very powerful statement. He said, is it possible for us not to win in life if God is really for us? And I have an answer for you. Nothing can successfully be against you. This week you are having amazing victory every direction you turn to, because God is for you. And I can prove it to you that it's for you. He created you in his image. When you were damaged, he sent his son to redeem you, who paid the ultimate price, died for you, and and was resurrected on the third day as a proof that the payment for your sin had been made and has been accepted. Now, with all that in place, how can you not be sure that God is for you? So I want you to declare with me today, God is for me. Now, God being for you has nothing to do with your being perfect, with your perfect performance, with you, being in perfect obedience. God being for you is a function of the love of God for you. And if there's anything I want to encourage you to do today, I want you to embrace his love. Because as powerful as God's love is, it can only help you when you learn to receive it. There's something about people that know how to receive God's love, to make the most of God's grace. I feel a rush of grace in your direction, assisting you in literally every aspect of your life, assisting your health, assisting your finances, assisting your education, assisting your career, assisting your ministry. But you must embrace that love. The grace of God is coming your direction like never before. You'll be helped. You will see the goodness of God. You will see the manifestation of God's power in your life on a whole new level. But you need to learn how to embrace the love of God. When God is showing you this much love, then you should still say, he says, we have known and believed the love that God has for us. That was a man that knew something about God's love, and he knew enough to know this, that you must respond appropriately to the love of God for you. The Bible says in John chapter 3 verse 16 that God so loved the world. But guess what? God so loved his own. He loves the world, including the people that have not embraced the sacrifice of the Son. But he loves the one who have literally made his family their family. And that's what happens when you say, Jesus, you're my Lord and Savior. There's a special love to enjoy. It's called family love. You are God's, you know, God's own, literally. He owns into oneness with him. He that is joined with the Lord is one spirit with him. You are one with the Lord. You are one family with the Lord. You are the body of his body. Happen to you. At this junction, I'm going to be bringing a guest for today on. I'm so excited. Ready? Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hey, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing very good, sir.
How is Lagos?
Lagos is lovely.
It's lovely. So
Yeah.
any adjustment to the lockdown?
Well, no new announcements have been made. For now, I guess the government is still observing how things are going. But in recent weeks, they've been easing some of the guidelines that were in place before. So for now, no new developments yet.
Yes, I had a rumor that maybe I can't call it a rumor. A lot of times when you start hearing stuff like that they end up being the truth that they might be opening up churches very soon, maybe in the next 2 weeks or less.
Well, what the governor of Lagos has announced is that they are open to the discussions. They've been having discussions and meetings with leaders of some of the religious bodies, Khan and maybe the Muslim authorities. But I don't think they've announced any decisions yet.
Oh yes, so there's deliberation going on.
Yes, some of the speculations we are hearing is that they may limit the number of people that gather, maybe to 100 per service or things like that.
But hopefully they will make that decision based on the size of the facility.
Well, that's what
if a place, if someone's facility can take 150 and you limit to 100, and someone else's facility can take 10,000 and you limit to 100.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
A blanket policy like that will not be appropriate. Hopefully they look at things, in a more practical perspective.
Yeah. But we trust God that whichever case it will be, at least God will continue to guide us through the season.
Unlimited to physical gathering.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. In as much as the physical gathering is a major part of who we are and what we do, but we are much more than physical gathering, because the body of Christ is essentially a body of spirits.
Yeah.
Because the part of you that gets it is your spirit. And when you come to church, of course, you come into a physical building in your physical body, but you don't connect with your physical body. The connection is made, via your spirit. And that tells you can still achieve the connection without a physical gathering.
That's correct.
Of course, there's still things that are very peculiar to physical gathering. There's a ministry of laying on of hands, and there's also an aspect of people receiving love. Touch is a very important way of communicating affection and love. And Paul said, he said, give, talks about holy keys, the point. So if there's holy keys, there's the holy rock.
And we miss all that, obviously, in this time of lockdown. All that is being missed. So it's I think a government, they would also prefer for the economy and society things to return to how it was before, but they're having to manage handling the virus and things like that. So it is well. All things are working together for our good. That's really our confession.
Yeah, I love that. All things are working together for good.
Yeah.
Somebody's wondering, why are you talking so much about lockdown? It's because Pastor Tunde's role in the ministry, by the way, is the senior pastor of KingsWord Ministries International. Africa as a whole is the most senior personnel, and you know, in his past capacity oversees several churches, not just within Lagos, not within Nigeria, not just within Nigeria, but the continent as a whole. So he's the most senior pastor. So this is today for for how long? Was it 96?
Just a few years.
What did you say?
I said just a few years.
Just a few years, about 24 years ago. When I came into Lagos in 1996, briefly, I got to know him. Then eventually, when I moved to Lagos fully in 97, he was my landlord, more or less. Family house, he was our landlord. He was our boss. He was the one that taught me how to drive, among other things, right?
Yes, sir.
He was the one that taught me to drive. His car was the first car.
I should be collecting honorarium for things like that, sir.
What did you say?
I should be collecting honorarium for things like that now.
Oh, yeah. There are quite a number of people we have to pay you. Because you taught me, you taught Pastor Lam too, right?
Pastor Noel.
Pastor Noel.
I think those were my top students.
Yes, okay. So, and by the virtue of the fact that he had a car those days, he became my personal assistant. And I believe that was very smart of me. I mean, you don't have a car as a pastor.
He was doing ministry. Those are beginning days of ministry for me too. So,
yeah, of course. No. The point I'm even trying to make is this. You know, if you're starting a church and there's only one member of your church that has a car, a smart move is to make that person your personal or executive assistant. So that was what he was. He had to drive me around. Not only was that I couldn't drive. I mean, it was the only car available, and he was the driver. And I remember that that Honda should be. I wish we can get that Honda. I mean, I wish I can get it somewhere and just buy it back, and you know, just honor it. That car needs to be honored.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It was cool. It was a cool car those days. It was a cool car that served a bunch of us, and you know, so many things. You know, 24 years ago. Of course, he got rewarded in the process. He got rewarded. In fact, the reward is the one commenting now. The reward
God
just says,
God is not unrighteous.
He's not unrighteous. The reward just spoke now. He says strategic PA. That was his reward.
Yes.
The beautiful woman that yes, that's interesting. The last person I interviewed happens to be his wife. The person they formed bonds together while he was supposed to be ministering to me. That's a story for another day. We'll get into it. I know he will argue. He likes arguing. Well, he wants to argue his way out. But
there's no argument about this one.
Massive reward. So if you are listening and you are the type that run away from service, boy, you need to go and align yourself. You don't know the kind of reward God is preparing for you.
That's right,
but
sir.
On a more serious, I mean,
yes, sir.
It was a big Lagos boy. I was coming from Ibadan. Even the other ones that were in Lagos. There's Lagos and there's Lagos. There's Lagos Ikeja and there's Lagos Mafuluku, you know. I just threw a jab. I hope the person got the jab. But anyway, This is Pastor Tunde Akinyemi, the senior pastor of KingsWord Everywhere. But before he was the senior pastor, he was just a regular person 24 years ago when I met him. Very regular. In fact, I remember when I gave him his first major assignment as, was he church administrator or so? Yeah. Pastor Noel later told me that I was very, very concerned that, but he thought of it. It's Reverend K. Reverend K hears God, but in the natural, I was like, what's this man doing? But apparently, God has always this that a season will come in his own life that he will be a full-time minister. I didn't see it myself.
I won't have known myself. So,
so I want us to talk about the process. Now, you know, when we met 96, 97, you know, a bunch of crazy people, yes, because we were crazy. Crazy for God. We're not your regular kind of Christian. You know, we do what normal Christians won't do. We go over the board, and we to your life via your brother that I interviewed last week, Tayo. Family. We make sure the whole family is impacted, and he happens to be a casualty of the is it casualty, good casualty now, because he was in that family. So our invasion into the family, you know, got involved in the whole process. So now I want you to tell us from your own point of view. He was already a Christian by that time. By the time we met, we came into there, he was a Christian, but he was a casual Christian. Was that a right description?
Well, I would say more of it wasn't casual in the sense that I didn't take my Christianity seriously. I think in terms of being serious about being a Christian,
intensity.
It was more of access to the Word and access to the Spirit.
I think the best way to look at it is intensity.
Yes, the spiritual intensity wasn't there.
The spiritual intensity, the spiritual fervor, the spiritual fervor.
Yes, it wasn't there. The church we attended then was an Anglican church, and in all honesty, people were sincere to the level of the light they had in terms of.
That's right. I like what you said, to the level. This point, your effectiveness in terms of how much you function in the call of God, in the plan and the purpose of God for your life is to the degree to which you hit.
Yeah.
Or let me say in layman terms, to the degree you hit. You know, in 1 Kings chapter 19, God told Elijah, he said, eat, for the journey is long. Eat. So there's certain expressions you will not have if you are not hitting on certain level.
Yes, let me even say a story about that. So before my brothers went to Ife, I think we, as a family, interestingly, we all got born again about the same time. And I think this was about 1992, 1993, when we got saved. And it was a neighbor of ours that attended then that got us saved. And he got us involved with Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship. So that's when we got saved. We even got filled with the Spirit and things like that. But like I said, the church we attended, there was little light and revelation. So a typical Sunday for us was we'll go to church on Sunday morning, and then when we come home, Dr. Freddie Casey Price used to be on local TV in Nigeria then. And we'll be having family brunch, and then that was really my first exposure, and I think my family, our first exposure to the Word of God being taught, and being taught. And I think for me, what really drew me to Victory Christian Fellowship then, or KingsWord, was when my brothers now went to school, what we were hearing Dr. Price teach on TV, it was now, they were now exposed to it practically. And when they came back home, I mean, the difference was just clear. So when I started getting interactions with the ministry, with you and other people from Ife then.
Now, can you pause a little bit? Can you pause a little bit? If I get it right, they were impacted, they were discipled on campus, they came back home, and there were proofs of transformation.
Exactly. It wasn't just something you had an American preacher teach on TV anymore, because that's how far it was for us, or for me to that time. It was now, there's just something about having a hands-on experience, which I think VCF did for them then. Although one of my brothers, I think Laddie, wasn't really attending VCF, there was that outbreak in Ife of the word being taught and things like that. So it just made it very real. It had its challenges. I remember when we now spoke unbelief in the house and they will correct you. That's unbelief and all that. The first response is, what are you talking about? What are you saying? Saying I'm speaking unbelief and all that. But you know, that was when I started noticing the change. So by the time you now came to Lagos and other people from fellowship started coming to Lagos, and we started living together, everything just got cemented for me. And that was where my own transformation on another level began. So there was already a foundation laid in terms of I was already born again. I wanted to serve God. For many people, that's where the challenge is. Like you were saying last week, and I think the teaching over the weekend, anyone that is born again, the supernatural is real to you. It's in your spirit. It's like fish and water. But then where there's no guide, where there's no roadmap, where there's not sufficient light and teaching to tell you the step by step you need to take, that's where people have challenges. So when the ministry came to Lagos, it just made all the difference for me.
Wow, yeah. Wow. You know, talking about the supernatural environment that gives expression to the supernatural being, which a new creation is, by the way.
Yes,
you know, of late, the Lord that started dealing with me that there's so many teachings that have become necessary these days, simply because it's a supernatural environment is not being provided in most Christian circles or churches, should I say. Now, don't get me wrong, we need teachings on marriage, we need teachings on businesses, running businesses, a Christian way, we need teachings on how to raise a family. Those things are wonderful. But what we have got, everything has to be laid down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. Why? Because a lot of believers are being raised in an atmosphere that is not supernatural enough. There are certain things that come with being a new creature that should find expression naturally, just by the virtue of the fact that you are born of God. You know, the Bible says you say you will not need that anyone teach you. There's a supernatural knowing by revelation. Just like a fish, when you drop a baby fish inside water, you don't have to start teaching the baby fish this way to move. It flows because that environment was built for him. The same way, there are certain things that are built for a new creation. A new creation is built to walk by faith, to walk in love, to walk in joy, to walk in peace, you know, to walk in rest. Those things are natural for a new creature. But when an appropriate environment, which is a function of the diet, is not there, what you will see is that a new creations will begin to struggle so much that you now have to teach him every single thing. Not because it does not have the innate ability, but because it does not have an enabling environment, which is a function of the Word of God and a function of the Spirit of God. You know, when you have an enabling environment, I mean, by the Word and by the Spirit, you realize there's an expression that comes naturally. There's an expression. I don't know why we have to go in that direction. I was not planning to go in this direction, but I just saying somebody needs to hear this.
Oh,
There's a flow. Go ahead.
That is my story, and if I can trace my beginning experiences in KingsWord, that was just it. The issue here wasn't that I wasn't born again, or that I wasn't a Christian, or that I wasn't serious with God. That desire was there, but there's something about practicality. It's like the way the book of Acts started about Jesus. The Bible said the things he began to do and to teach. That environment where someone like Casey Price was there. After a while, I got into Kenneth Copeland. But hearing someone afar say it, or reading it from the pages of scripture, that is good. It's better than nothing. But that practical environment where someone is living it out and demonstrating it. I remember the example Pastor Tayo gave last week when he was talking to you about them being in the fellowship and you caused the termites in the meeting. And within a few minutes, all the termites were on the floor and they were dead. There's something that does to you. There's just something that if you are not in that kind of environment and you don't witness that kind of thing, you are missing out on something. It's just that simple. So these things must not just be taught, as it were. They must also be demonstrated at one level.
And thank you for saying that. Yeah. You realize that in the ministry of Jesus, his disciples were not just given the opportunity to sit under his teaching, which they really did it. They had the opportunity to observe him.
That's right, sir.
For example, when he caused the fig tree in Mark chapter 11, I believe, they were there. They saw him. They saw how he reacted to his situation. Now, you saw the fig tree thinking you could find something to eat from it, only as a wasted moment. Wow. There's no something. For example, somebody is thinking about what is going on all over the world now, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and somebody is busy wasting this moment. That is not like God. God takes, even the things he did not orchestrate, he turns it around and uses it for his advantage. You know, it was supposed to be a story whereby there was no fruit on the fig tree. Rather than Jesus walked away from that, he sees the moment. He said, this is an opportunity to teach them the principle of faith based on the use of our words. He said, no one eats of the fruit thereof. And the fig tree died. They came back the following day and they saw it. They observed it. Not only did they see him teach, they saw, they observed his lifestyle. There was a communication through his lifestyle that helped them in becoming the person they became. What about when they were traveling together in the boat and there was a storm of hurricane proportion, or Jesus was sleeping? You know, they had to write it down. The disciple wrote it down. Jesus was sleeping. So he marked their mind that what made them to panic was the same thing that Jesus slept through. Jesus slept through the storm and they were panicking. You know, he came, eventually they woke him up from his sleep. And how did he respond? What's your problem, boys? Oh, you have little faith. And the Bible says he spoke to the, you know, he spoke to the wind and he rebuked the sea. And everything became calm. It marked their mind. They saw it. You know, all manner of things. They had experiences. So a major part of being discipled is giving people an opportunity to observe you.
That's right, sir.
Because there's a communication through observation that marks people, that helps people to grow. When people see it, they can live it. And, you know, especially now, we have come to a world now, I mean, we have metamorphosized to a world now that everybody is so private, everybody builds events around his life. I mean, I mean, I would have thought it's just in America, but I realize even in Nigeria now, things have changed. You're like growing up, you know people on your street, you communicate now. You can be on the street for 5 years and not know your neighbors.
That's
You know,
right.
is educated and formal and proper. And I understand that part of, your family needs to be protected. But as a child of God, you need to understand how things run in the kingdom. The process of discipleship, if you are too closed up, you will fail. I mean, is it likelihood that people will betray you? Yes, they betrayed Jesus. Is it likelihood that people will walk away from you? Yes, they walked away from Jesus. But guess what? There will be results of disciples raised. So rather than focus on the disadvantages, why not focus on the advantages? Especially since Jesus said in Matthew 28, verse 19, he said, go into the, indeed you are my disciples, then you continue in my word. So there's a continuing the word that is so essential in disciple making. But also there's a part of, opening up our lives. I believe there are leaders in different parts of the world listening to this broadcast, listen to this amazing broadcast. Listen to me. If you want to be an effective leader, you will open up your life and pull people to you. Because you will never be able to impact people effectively with a fence around you. You don't impact people and raise disciples just by preaching a good sermon on a Sunday morning. You must have a system that pull people in, that give people the permission to be much more. Because when you see the fruits of discipleship, you see, for example, when I see someone like Pastor T, I mean, I'm glad I was in his space from 97 to 99. Majorly, it was 97 to 99 because I came back from Owerri, October 99. The ordination in Ife, November 99. Then the church started December 31st, 1999. And we lived in the same house from that October to October 97 to November 99. It was just 2 years. Interesting. It was just 2 years. But I was in his face. I was in his car. I was in his world.
I would like to add something.
Ended up catching my daughter in the process. So, because I brought my body to his life, so I open up my children to, jokes apart. So, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. There are going to be seasons of your life that God will give you an opportunity to impact certain lives. That season might not be forever. But what you do that season is essential. It might even be a little boy in church that you just feel impressed. Come live with me. I can help you. I can help out with a few things in the house. Do you know it's an opportunity to raise a disciple that will reflect Jesus, a disciple that will be in the mission of Jesus? Because Pastor T, one of the problems we have in the body of Christ is that we don't have enough laborers. And when Jesus said the harvest is great, but the laborers are few, he was not just talking about crowd. He was talking about disciples. And the matter is a global problem. Most of our churches today are full of multitudes, not disciples. And the people that will do the mission of Jesus, the people that will, accomplish what God intends for us in this generation must be disciples, not just crowd that comes around to see miracles. Because that's what crowds, they have issues. They believe in breakthrough. They came around. There was a breakthrough anointing. They got the breakthrough and they walked away as usual. But disciples stay. They are taught. They are, and they are given a privilege of looking into your life. Maybe you're a leader. You are so fenced. I believe the word of the Lord is coming unto you. We need to open up if you're going to make disciples.
And so I think it's a two-way thing. Both the discipler needs to open up and the person to be discipled as well.
That's right.
For me, I know at different stages of my life, like you've pointed out, I wasn't in Ife. So when the ministry moved to Lagos, all this was foreign to me. And quite honestly, it was radical from the background I had. And I remember at different times, I had the option to just shut the door and say, no, I'm not going to do this thing. And actually, looking back, there were people in my orbit, maybe family members, neighbors, and friends that had the same opportunity to grab what was happening in KingsWord at that time. But because of how different and strange it was, some of them turned their back and walked away. But I chose to stay. So when some of these things were being revealed, I also had to open up my life to embrace it and to receive it. Whether it's praying in tongues or laughing in the spirit or living by the word, confessing the word. You know, it's one thing to start correcting someone that what you are speaking is unbelief. And the person has to accept and change the way you are speaking and change the way you are thinking. So even the disciple must open up their life and allow the person God is bringing into disciple. Or so years later, I know people that had the same opportunity like I did. Maybe family and friends that turned their back and walked away. And 25 years later, we can see the difference. So it's a two-way thing. The person that God is going to use to disciple people must give people that access. The disciple must also open up and allow the person God is using to disciple them access into their lives. And I remember different stages of my life, whether it was when I was writing my professional exams or challenges at work that I will discuss with you. And you will just give counsel and advice and things like that in making major decisions on what to do, learning how to follow God's plan for your life. I had to, it was a radical turn for me because that wasn't the kind of background or exposure I had, spiritually or naturally speaking. And that's so vital.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and the truth of the matter is, coming from the campus environment in the university, it was easier to disciple on campus because it was an enclosed environment. Our word was a very, very, controllable word. It was a predictable word, from hostel to class, then back to hostel, then fellowship. Then the people that don't go to fellowship will go to SUB and party and, or go to quarters. It was a small world. So, in fact, there were cases of people that were doing well on campus until they went back discipleship and revival. It was so easy to connect with people. But now coming to Lagos was a different ballgame, especially considering the demons of Lagos, the traffic demon. Everybody is busy demon. Everybody is in a hurry demon.
The pressure.
The pressure. But to the glory of God, there was still a generation that were able to disciple in Lagos. And that's what this week is all about. For example, the person coming after you tomorrow is Pastor Leye, who went to Unilag. He was not part of Ife, and he was discipled and a bunch of other people that are going to be coming up later on. So, but this discipleship is work.
Yeah.
But we have to be intentional about it. We have to be deliberate about it. The discipler must know his responsibility and the cost the price we have to pay. And the person being discipled to must be humbled enough. And by the way, let me say this. I believe the Spirit of God will help me say this. That your discipler is not perfect.
Yes,
because a lot of times you see disciples that walk away from the process of being discipled because they have an expectation of perfection where their discipler is concerned. You should know better. Listen, gentlemen, your disciple is a work in progress. It's just some classes ahead of you. Let's say it's in secondary school, you are in kindergarten. Everybody, until Jesus comes, everybody, for as long as you are in this human body, human flesh, we will still be work in progress. I'm privileged to have amazing people over my life that oversee my life, that speak in my life, tell me, do it this way, don't do it this way. But guess what? They are not perfect. I had to make up my mind a while ago that I've lost my right to be offended.
Yes, sir.
Jesus said something, he said, offenses will surely come. Because there are people that never graduated from one level of discipleship to the next level of discipleship because they were offended at their discipler. They felt he did not handle it perfectly, and the grass is always greener on the other side. And before you know it, you move to a place that God has not moved you into, and the process of development becomes truncated. And there's a place called there. If God has placed you in an environment, that is your there. Does that mean that environment will be perfect? No. Does that mean the discipler will be perfect? No. But that remains your environment. The same way you have a physical family. I have a physical family. Is my physical family perfect? No, but it's your family. You can't get angry at them and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm moving on. If you move on, you are just ridiculing yourself. You can't move on. It's too late. You look like them. You talk like them. You still work like them. There are some traits in you, they will forever. I see some people that have moved out. This is supernatural. I see some people that have moved out of the circle that ever placed them and joined themselves with some new circle. But guess what? They still ridicule this. They're just kidding themselves. When they open their mouth, I'm talking about believers, I'm talking about preachers. When they open their mouth and start teaching or speaking or they are trying so hard to be like, you realize they're just hanging. They are different from them. Just because that man of God showed you so much love, and you're like, yes, that's the kind of father you have. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to your family, you don't have a choice. You receive it. You were born. Pastor Tunde was born into a Akinyemi family. By the way, there's a joke I normally throw around. I lived with them, and actually I became a member of the family. Literally, I became a member of the family. And one of the stories I got to know was that, the dad got an offer to come and head a company in Nigeria when the mom was pregnant with him in England. It's the first child. So they carried the pregnancy from London to. But the point I'm trying to make was that you are inside. You are conceived in UK and delivered in Agege. So for years, then something happened. Later on, almost all his brothers got an opportunity to go school abroad and left him. I said, Tunde, can you see your destiny and abroad? Can you see? Yeah, they brought you here. And now everybody that was conceived here now had moved there. And you that was conceived there is so I always pull his legs. By the way, that's one of the things I do with my disciples. The
plan was that when my brothers moved, I was writing my professional exams then, my ICANN exams. And the plan was for me to relocate and go and join them and do a master's after I finished my exams. But in between that time, that's when I got involved in the ministry and I learned about consecration and just following
consecration.
Yeah. And by the time I finished my exams, God had given me direction that I should stay with you, I should work with you, focus on the church being planted and things like that. And
wow, but interesting. You never told me this part. This is the first time you are. I felt good that Lord, I'm so authentic to some this. Just
in a way, you are involved because by the time I now told my parents, and they too had began to see what God was doing with the ministry, then the fruit that started blossoming, they were just like, okay, fine. If you feel this is what God is telling you to do, and you're supposed to stay behind and not go and do the masters again. I guess at the back of their own mind, maybe later it will be done. That was the plan, and that's how the work started, and I never got to travel again.
There is a place called there. Okay, I don't think 5 minutes will be enough for us. We have to come back and do this at least a few minutes to finish this. Now, there's something you eat there's a spot you eat that we can't. The place where God's plan is concerned. For a lot of people believe you can deliver God's plan anywhere. And the reason why a lot of lives are struggling, the life of it is not in his hand, is in God's hand. If there's something that is so important where a disciple is concerned, is consecration. What is consecration? Not my will, but your will. Now, here was he. All his brothers were out of the country, including the little Yinka. Yinka left us. Was it 98?
Yes, he left a year.
Yinka left us. You know, it was us. There was a time it was boys' club. You know, myself, Yinka, Bola, but Yinka left us. So it was the only sibling at that time. You can imagine the pressure. The mom was there working as a physiotherapist. The brothers were there. The dad was one leg in America, take over the house. It was all in the plan of God anyway.
It was. That was the window of opportunity. I mean, that
was window of opportunity to do ministry. So whenever it travels like that, I convert the whole house to ministry headquarters. From the fields to the room. The only place we don't use is this room. Every other place. You remember the convention we had that we stuffed people in literally every.
That was the first year Daddy traveled. Yeah, we more or less hosted everybody in the house.
Everybody. I can't even remember how many people were there.
Oh,
the place was packed.
Yeah.
And so by the way, we will come back, and I want you to come back. We're not done with this story. I thought 1 hour would be enough, but it's not enough. There are a few things we need to touch. There are a few things we need. My discipling, I got an office for myself in their house. I mean, I'm a very powerful man. The mommy study became my office. I operated from there, and and it was cool. Yeah, if there's anything you need to know about Pastor T has always been cool. He's cool. Even when he's angry, he's still cool. In his anger, he's still cool. He's very cool. He's cool, calm. Not like me. When I'm angry, you see it on my face. Like, I will give you that prophetic look. You'll be like, you want to enter the ground. But he's forever cool. He's a cool man. Cool, calm, and collected. I'll give it to him. The coolest pastor ever. Yes, so got a conviction that God will have a build with us.
Yeah.
And has he not paid him?
Oh,
his brothers are so. But guess what? He's super successful himself. There's none of his brother. I know them because I mean they're my babies too. There's none of them that will say, "Oh, Tunde is not doing well because he stayed back in Nigeria." Nobody will ever say that.
No.
Not out of respect.
No.
I mean, got a good wife.
Not from abroad, sir. Prosperity.
Yeah, prosperity comes from above. Not from above. Not from above.
Above from
preacher, preacher. So I'm going to share some stories with you when we come back concerning all this travel. I don't know who we are talking to, especially this Canada thing. Because now there's an assumption now that Canada must be the will of God for everybody in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Canada is not the will of God for some of you.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because the immigration doors of Canada is open does not mean everybody in Nigeria need to jump on the ship and relocate themselves to Canada. There is a place for you. If God says, I want to make you a king in Nigeria, and you turn yourself to a slave in Canada, you will have yourself to be blamed. There is a place for you. People that know me, I don't wear America. I wear God's purpose. The only reason why I'm here is because God set me here. run to thee. Unto the Lord shall the gathering of his people be.
We are gathered together.
I just saw somebody on Instagram. Lau means nickname. Robo, yes, Robo.
Yeah,
I just saw
the house with us then.
Yeah, Robo is online. Robo was how old then? 13, 14.
Was it even 18? Yeah, anything.
Junior was the one that was like 10 years old. Junior was our goalkeeper. By the way,
Junior is married now.
I know Junior has a baby. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Lau me used to be one of our strikers those days, because one of the things we do regularly is that we play soccer. And by the way, Pastor T was a deadly striker. Those days was a deadly striker. We had some good strikers. Daddy was our goalkeeper. Daddy, and his dad used to play with us. Goalkeeper, and we also had some interesting goalkeeper like Pastor Lang. Pastor Lang too was a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah, Pastor Lang was good. Pastor Lang wasn't that bad in the post.
Was he good?
Pastor Lang wasn't bad.
It was.
Pastor Lang was a good defender too. Pastor Lang wasn't that bad. It was.
And Bolawan was a midfielder, right?
Yeah.
Bolawan was a midfielder. We had fun those days. I'm serious. We were, we had fun. I mean, what was my role? Was I a striker, a defender, or
we used to give you used to be the finisher. We will have done all the work, then we'll give you the ball to score. Just to honor you.
But I scored some heavy goals.
You are not bad.
But there were some goals I remember that I scored. Classic goals. Hey, I feel the anointing just talking about 24 days, 24 years. I mean, now the truth of the matter was the discipling process was not all spiritual atmosphere. We were real.
Yes, sir.
Now, one thing about me is this: I can switch from playing with you to rebuking you next moment. I have no problem. Maybe some people have natural problem. Me, I don't have any problem.
That happened many times. That happened many times.
Can you give us an example?
I can't recollect anyone particularly now, but that was, I mean, in fact, what could happen was that we could just be playing about something and you would just turn it into a teachable moment. And maybe you would just teach something and from there use that to correct something or rebuke something. And that was just part of it. That was how we grew up, spiritually speaking. And I think one of the things that whether you loved us or did not love us, it was clear that the love was real. Yeah, even though we were all young, there wasn't this thought of whether Dr.Kay is just using us for his ministry or is just trying to gain advantage of us. We knew everything was coming from a place of love. So whether it's that you are correcting or teaching or rebuking or even asking us to make sacrifices, we knew that the ultimate goal was for our future good. And the record was there. You see, as the years went by, the progress we were making in our lives was just clear. I mean, for example, for my own parents, I think that was really what won them over. They could see the positive changes that was happening in our lives, all of us, not just even their own children, but all the other, my cousins and other people that are us. And that just made them more in the ministry. And of course, the Lord was upon the work. Even after you had left the country, as the church kept growing and multiplying, I mean, they saw that God was in this. In fact, sometimes when I talk with them, I got the impression that they were even more convinced about what God was doing in our lives and in our midst than we were. Like that till today. So it was just an amazing way.
You know, while you were talking, while you were talking, I remember it was not me that brought this up. It was even Pastor Dr. Ragbade. He brought it up a few weeks ago. How I broke your relationship. I've even forgotten. But do you remember?
Of course, I remember. I thought you and Pastor talked about that last week, or you didn't talk about.
No, we.
Well, all right. So we had started the relationship, and I think, at least for both of us, we were convinced that it was God's will for us. But then Pastor Inda had, there were times where she would just draw back, and that was because at that time her parents were not fully on board yet. And we could understand, I mean, that's a tough place to be in. So it went on for months, and a time just really just make up our mind, even though our parents were holding back, that's the end of it. So you just said, we can't continue. It was as if we were one leg in, one leg out. And you said that's not healthy. And I mean, it was tough for both of us. I remember after that decision was made, I went to pray. I mean, and it's amazing the kind of things God taught in that situation. I really feel that incident did something for us, because by the time we came out of it, the other challenges we were going to face in our marriage, particularly when we were believing God for children, just because we had gone through that ordeal, we just knew that God had our back, and we're able to deal with all those years of delay a lot.
Maybe you didn't get the pictures. Those of you that are watching it, they did not break the relationship. I broke it for them.
No, we were willing to still be patching things up, but we just said that no, not the way to conduct a relationship. That we.
You are being understanding.
Oh yes, I mean.
The cool you will come back. In fact, let me tell you what was happening. It was I was feeling for you, really.
Oh.
I was feeling for you. She's on the line. I was feeling for you. She's my daughter. She was my daughter first. I love her. But me, I'm not that kind of impartial father. I mean, what he was putting you through, and you know, you will take a break, then come back, and then you will accept. I'm like, so after it, I said, you know what? I need to teach this girl a lesson. So I called both of you to my office in your house. I had an office in your house. Disciple out of your house. Now you want to be controlling my life. I just called both of them. I said, you know what? I can't take this again since you don't know what. I said, you can't be, if I remember, I said, you can't be suffering my son like that. I can't take it again. So I said, today is the end of the result. Look at each other and say bye-bye now. And you know, and that was it.
But you know what that led to? Both of us went to pray, of course, while we were apart, and God spoke to us. For me, God told me that, look, the promise of marriage is still intact. That I did not say Tunde will marry Shehu. What I said is that you will find a wife and you'll obtain favor, that it will work out. And then God told me that, look, it can never be worse. Even if that relationship didn't work out, whatever we will bring later will be better. But what God taught Pastor Ida, I think, was really that this is his plan. And I believe he gave her this scripture from 1 John, that which you had from the beginning. He hasn't changed his mind. And when she came back, wow, she came back more committed than ever. And I mean, I think that just that formed a solid rock for our marriage, that no matter the kind of challenges we go through, and this was really tested in those 7 years we were believing God for children, we never ever doubted whether it was God's will for us to be married or to be together as husband and wife. We just kept believing, because we will always go back to what God told us from the beginning, knowing that God will never change his mind. And as long as we were willing to stay committed in the relationship, God will back us up. And the rest was just a matter of time. And then every time challenges have come in our marriage, that's what happens. God will always prove himself strong. So thanks for breaking the relationship, sir. It worked out for our good at the end of the day.
Was some of the wisdom that were displayed even at a young age. I was in my 20s, by the way, when I was doing all this command that move. I was in my 20s. They were like, he's like 2 years old. In fact, less than 2 years younger than me. Maybe, okay, yeah, less than 2 years. So, but thinking about some of the things we did, but like I said earlier on in the first segment, what, you know, when there's a supernatural atmosphere that teaches you things supernaturally, it's like the Holy Spirit in you can now go into full mode to instruct you how to deal with things, church things, family stuff. You can be 20-something, pastoring somebody in his 50s, and yet you will have the right words to say, the right counsel to give. You know, you will just know things by God. And that's why all this going light is not going to help any generation. Because when you go light, what you do is that you shut down your supernatural capacity. The expression of the Holy Ghost in you to instruct you, to guide you, you shut it down. So if you're a pastor and you're listening to this and you want to go this light route to gather multitude, ladies and gentlemen, it will backfire. But guess what? You might achieve the crowd. When you want to do it Jesus' way and raise disciples, eventually you will get the crowd. But God is saying, first of all, pay attention to the disciples, because ultimately God's plan is that the disciples will multiply. The healthy growth of the church is in the multiplication of the disciples. Not in just, can you imagine Jesus fed 5,000 men with, I mean, using 5 loaves and 2 fishes, which was a major miracle. Can you imagine Jesus was doing it every day? His ministry would have been, the Holy Spirit would have become his follower. But thank God for that. But you realize that Jesus devoted more time to teaching, to raising, to impacting. And, you know, it's amazing to see great men like you that have been raised by God. Like I said last week, it's a privilege to be called upon to help raise God's child. That's the way I see my role. I mean, they call me dad, they call me spiritual father, but it's a privilege. It's not something I hand, it's a privilege. You ask me, what are your assets in life? My assets is not in the houses. I have a few of them. In the cars, I have some. My asset is in people.
Amen. Amen.
For example, I don't have a house in Nigeria. I've tried to build several years, and for one reason or the other, I stopped. But the truth of the matter is, I can never be homeless in Nigeria. Is it possible?
No.
It's
not as long as people like us are here.
It's never possible. It's never possible. Because my real assets is in these people. And
you know, sir, that's what you taught us, and which that process that started with us is being replicated today in all our churches and at different levels of leadership. I mean, I'm seeing somebody's testimony here that, Pastor T, thanks for your testimony, and yours gave me hope to receive mine. And, you know, there are different generations now being raised of people that are drawing light from what God used you to do in our own lives, that we are also privileged to disciple and to impact. And it's just mind-blowing what God is doing. 20-something plus years of what God has done in KingsWord. That what God is going to do in the next 25 plus years, I mean, where we are now is just going to be a springboard for what is yet to come. And it's just, our minds just can't fathom it.
And for somebody out there who is still like, okay, but this method, it will take forever, and will you really be able to impact? Let's do programs. Let's draw. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 20 years, November last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about 20 and a half years ago. And I left Nigeria with a little bit over 100 people as members. I go to Nigeria, I go back to Nigeria to thousands, multiples of thousands.
Yes, sir.
Not even mention our expression in different African countries. Not even, you know, is it the new one we talk about? Which
is growing every day.
That is growing every day.
Yeah.
Is it the ministries that came out of KingsWord? Because when we're talking about the when we're talking about the fruits of the ministry, it goes beyond the ones that still have the label KingsWord. Even the ones that don't have the label KingsWord again, what came out of KingsWord, they are fruits of this ministry. But ladies and gentlemen, the few disciples of those days is what multiplied to the multiple thousands of today. Did it happen overnight? No. No, it was a process that is worth it. It's a process that has been impactful, and it's a process that will forever work. Look at the generation of the leadership, the leadership in the new. Those days, I'll go to Ife mostly, and I see them as little boys. I remember when I met Shola, my official introduction to him was when his group did this choreography at National Stadium. You remember? I just knew there was something about him. Thank God for lay hands and lay hands and lay hands and lay hands. And you know, we got close later on. So when he finished Ife, I'm like, I wanted to bring him close to me. So I said, I'm taking you to America. The dad was already informed. I was already talking to a school here in America. And in the middle of it, the Lord spoke. That's not the plan. And the moment the Lord spoke, consecration again. Consecration again. And I broke the news. Shola, God says that's not the plan. Is it not interesting that the two people living in the two church lines we have in Nigeria, the KingsWord and the New, they were so I stopped it. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed. The young man too was a little bit disappointed, but what can we say? So there are a lot of times that your soul will want something, but it's not the plan of God for your life. We dropped the plan, not even knowing that there was anything like the new. You know, a lot of us miss out on the best of God because we are too smart. My wife and I were talking about some people yesterday. All these strategize for 20 years. You must have a 25 years plan. You know, please, will you stop being organized? If God tells you everything about your future, then you don't need to walk by faith again. He will only give you the light for the season. Why not focus on the light for the season? All this over planning. You know, there's a place for planning, but there's something called over planning. Planning based on your head, not based on God's direction. You can literally walk yourself out of the purpose of God. You will get into a bunch of programs and, you know, operations that God knows nothing about. Oh, you must have a plan for the next 20 years. Even when God has not revealed, because he knows if he tells you too much, you'll be distracted. So he will give you the light for now. And as you begin to walk in that light, line upon line, precept upon precept, things will be forming, things will be forming, because that's how the just walks by faith. He walks based on the light that is revealed to him. Give us this day our daily bread. What am I talking to right now? You are so concerned about the future, and God says, I'm giving you your daily bread. Can you just be fine with your daily bread and walk in the light I'm giving you now? As far as the future is concerned, when you get there, you will know what to do. Anybody that looks at my life looks organized, but I know I'm not the architect. Oh yeah, look at the way he did it. He sent his wife first, and he went to meet his wife. Number one, he did not send anybody. Did I even have the money to send anybody? The father paid for it. Me, I just traveled on the wings of the Spirit. I mean, supernaturally, God worked out a job for her. I mean, I came because the company filed, but before then, God has spoken. Since 1994, I'm sending you to America, and everything lined up. Got to California, and God said, this is not the place. I'm just using this place to say to you. Then eventually led us to Chicago, and look at what God is doing in Chicago. Look at what God is doing all over the nations. Is it the acquisition of apostolic place? Is it the acquisition of the present house where I'm doing this broadcast from? My life is a testimony. If you will embrace the lifestyle of a disciple, because the lifestyle of a disciple is a lifestyle of consecration. You put the will of God ahead of your will. You don't assume you know it all. All these, I have my plans. Stop it. You only plan after God has revealed his plan to you. Your planning must be within the confines of the revelation he has given you. If God has not given you a revelation and you start making plans, you will get yourself into trouble. You will be another Tower of Babel project. Did they plan to reach unto heaven? Yes. Was it God's plan? No. Were they able to do it to an extent? Yes. In fact, God had to scatter their language for the project to fail. Just because your project is working does not mean God has sanctioned it. Because that's another deception people do these days. Say, if God is not needing, it will not be growing. No, let me tell you something. Humanity, our mind has a creative department, which is called imagination. And the Bible says, whatsoever they have imagined to do, there's a way you can set your imagination and set it against the will of God. And you will come up with a product that God does not know anything about. Because that's what they were going to do. They were going to build a Tower of Babel. And God did not know anything about it. God did not sign on the project. And yet they were building it. Because God has given man the capacity to imagine and create based on his imagination. There is so many inventions we have in this world that Christians did not make. And the amazing product. So the human soul has a department of creativity in itself. And you can create things not necessarily because God approves the products. Success for us in the kingdom is defined in the light of the covenant. Is it not amazing that the two people leading our church movement in Nigeria today are people that had opportunities to travel at one time or the other? In fact, I know of another pastor also putting your life in his hand. And say, Lord, I'm not going to just assume. I want you to lead me. What will you have me do? I don't know the young man or the young woman I'm talking to. You are so bent on traveling to somewhere. Or maybe you're in America, you want to relocate to another state. Is that God's will for your life? Someone say, oh, it's my life. It's your life. But if that life will be maximized, it must be aligned to his will.
God's will.
Wow. This is powerful, Pastor T. And it's been a joy working with you over the years.
Thank you very much.
I mean, to fight them. The good thing about me and my children is this: we fight, and the fight gets settled, because that's what family does. There are few people who have walked away from the family because they don't understand that a family that does not fight is a fake family. You have 3 kids. Do they fight?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
They settle it.
Yeah, we do.
In fact, children are very funny. They'll be fighting each other. And if a stranger now comes to fight one of them,
They will now
the three of them will now come together and bombard on that one. That's what family do. I mean, the quarrel, the misunderstanding is not always because you're against each other. It's because you are unique people that see things differently. But now you are seeing things differently, and yet God is asking you to run the same vision. The ability. I remember so many times I'll give an instruction, and Pastor, this is where I want us to say, Reverend, this is what
you give us the opportunity to express our own opinion. And I really appreciate that about you. I know at the end of the day, you are going to make the final decision.
And there are times when they make their point.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. In fact, most of the time I say go ahead. Most of the time I say go ahead. But the few times when I have a strong conviction that that's not the way, I just say, Pastor T, I'm not having this. In fact, it will not be Pastor T again, to be Tunde, and say, there's an adjustment. And he says, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And he will go and do it like he has always.
Yeah.
Remember that I've always had my reservation, because that's how some people act. The reason why people don't last, because of such attitude. In spite of a strong opinion, once I insist and I say, this is what I want done.
Yeah.
Okay, we see. And he will put all his energy in it, like he initiated it, in spite of the fact that he had a different opinion. I've worked with a few people before. Once you go against their opinion, something else. That's called immaturity. And you know, it's you see people walk away like that, and they walk away into nothing.
Yeah. So I think it's important when people understand that everyone has a part to play in what God is doing. For me, that's the way I see it. I have come to understand that you are the head of the ministry. You are the primary visionary of the ministry. And God has raised the rest of us to work with you. And even though you've delegated authority to us to do certain things, there are certain things I know says that this is what I want done. Even if I don't see it, I've come to learn, and God has always proven it to be the case all these years. I just believe that, well, God must know what he's doing. God puts you where he puts you for the reason why he puts you there. God put us where he puts us for the reasons why we are here. So my own, and that's
for example,
for
example, look at the new project. You know, I had the revelation in Chicago, and by the time I called Pastor T, I said, I think we should do this. Pastor T said, yes, we should do it. In fact, I've been thinking about the way to take. I will move all the teenagers. I said, keep your teenagers. That's not the vision. Is a church on his own that we back churches. So I said, back off. Keep your teenagers, keep your children's church, keep your teen church. They too will have their own teen church, but it's not an extension of your teen church. I remembered when we were coming up with the formalities of the new, and you know, initially Pastor T appointed people in the main church, leaders, to help them stabilize the first few months. Please, all your leaders, call them back now. He said, but they cannot handle it. I said they will handle it, because the revelation I had is that God is giving them a new strategy, and I should trust the people that God has shown me to lead the movement. I said, Pastor, back out, back out. All your pastor here, all the supervisors over wherever, yeah, all them back, all them back. He said, but I know Pastor is a reverend. We need help. I said, it's okay. They will not need help. Let them go. Say, their finances, give it to them. Let them run it. Now, listen. The secret of KingsWord Ministries is hearing God.
That's
Most
right.
of the things I do, go and
That's
do your
right.
research. They are crazy. You will hardly see it being done around. Who starts a church, another 2 years left the church and say, I'm going to another country. What are you going to do there? I don't know yet. I just know. And you will come from where you are not pastoring, and you will come and prophesy over people that are pastoring and say, do this way, break this church into 3. That's how Kings was spread. I remember the days of Thomas Salako. I said, okay. I see you running 3 churches in this location. And thank God for associates that once that allowed me to function in my prophetic office. And they say, okay. So there were 3 churches there. Pastor Noel was pastoring 1, right?
No.
Pastor Dotun.
No. It wasn't Pastor Noel. Pastor Noel was overseeing all of us. Pastor Dr. Aragbade, myself, and Pastor Dr. Arifalo.
Yes.
Then
And
Pastor
that was the foundation for our church planting.
Yeah.
So we were like pastoring 3. I said, very strange idea. I said, treat each one of them like a church, not just a service. That led into church planting eventually. Now, and 20 years after, I now came back. I said, okay, we are going to start another church. Who starts another church inside a ministry? Okay, where did you see it? I've never seen it before, but that's what I saw.
Yeah.
And look at what the new has been in the last 2.5 years. Just obeying God. Just started with 17. I had meetings with them. I mean, on Saturday, I'm like, this is a 2-year-old church. People are asking, what did you do? I just obeyed God. And if you're listening to me, your head is so big. That head will kill you if you don't reduce it and expand your spirit. You let God speak to you. All this strategy you are running around, it will kill you. And some of the people telling you strategy, God gave it to them as a revelation. Now they are duplicating it to you as strategy and selling it to you, and you think you are being taught. You are not being taught, though. You are being ruined. If anybody wants to teach you, he will teach you how to listen to God. And that's one of the major things lacking in this generation. Everybody wants a formula to grow a ministry. The materials for his instruction. There's a material for your instruction. There's a material for your vision. There's a material that will lead you into the fullness of what God has for us. And I believe one of the purposes of this season is to reset us back to the original plan and purpose of God, so that we listen to God more than we listen to man. You know, there's still things that will happen in KingsWord and the new, and who knows, maybe I will even start the 3rd one next year. Who knows? I mean, please, I don't trust myself.
All things are possible.
It's a wind. The wind just blows and I follow it. He's the captain of the ministry. I'm just privileged to be working with him. That is our story. It's a story of disciples that are consecrated, not people that are perfect. Is that when they make mistakes, you know, God can still work with their mess and turn it around for his good, for as long as they recognize that God has a way. Amen. Pastor T, it's a joy having you on this channel. This has been you know the uniqueness. For example, look at this series we are doing. It looks like there's a manual we are following. There's no manual. We're just following the wind. Look at Unbox Church. By the way, I was on Unbox Church yesterday.
Lovely. lovely. I had
I
a
mean,
wonderful time.
you know, Unboxed Church is a revelation. It's a revelation. Just following God. Oh, you are very creative. More than creativity, is the leading of the Spirit of God. There are times I will be sleeping and I will have an idea. Okay, so and I'll call the crew. Okay, this is the way you should start the service, and this is the way you should end the service. This is what you are.
Man.
We are consecrated. A bunch of people consecrated that are ready to let God take them anywhere. In things. Thank you, everybody that's been part of our journey. And tomorrow we will travel to Unilag. And there's a young man who I met as a student in Unilag and has been very, very faithful. I met him as a law student, but now he's a lawyer. He's an amazing, when you're talking about lawyer, it's not just a lawyer, it's Loyal, is lawyer.
Oh,
he's a lawyer that Pastor Tunde. His name is Leye Dada. Doing very well in his career as a barrister or solicitor. It's not a solicitor, it's just he's one of the company secretary now. He's going to be joining me tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to an amazing time. Pastor T, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
All the ladies that have not registered for women's conference, go and register. It's going to be amazing. Jumoke Adinowo and Elder Lindsay, 2 powerful sessions on Saturday, May 38th. You can register. Please, can somebody put the registration link? I believe it's KGWC, bit.ly/KGWC 2020. The KGWC is in bold letter. So please register. And you know, there's a gift for everybody that register. If you don't register, you will miss out. Is this Saturday, 9 and 2 p.m. 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Chicago time, which will be 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Nigerian time, with Elder Lindsay, Jumoke Adinowo, and Pastor May as the host. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this amazing program, The Art of Disciple Making. And tomorrow we will continue in this amazing series. Pastor T, thank you for being a good son. Thank you for being an ambassador of the supernatural. Thank you for being cool, calm, and collected. Thank you for marrying my daughter. Thank you for giving me your car to drive, for giving me your house to live in. Thank you for driving me around when I did not have a car. Thank you for being the owner, the driver, and the PA. And
thank you for the covering. Thank you, sir, for the covering and the leadership that you provided over us all these years. We're just so grateful to God for following your leadership and how God has used you to be a tremendous blessing